Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. I never imagined it would end with frozen lasagna and a smirk. It was a Monday. I came home late, soaked from the rain, carrying groceries in one hand and her prescription in the other. She was on the couch, painting her nails and watching a documentary about Italian villas. Villas I'd never be able to afford on my modest salary, managing printer networks and resetting forgotten passwords for people who think Wi-Fi runs on batteries. She didn't even look up when I walked in. Just said, "You forgot the lemon hummus," like I'd failed a sacred ritual. I dropped the bags on the kitchen floor, trying to breathe through it. But something had been building in me for weeks, maybe months. So I asked her, "Dana, do you think you could pick up a few things next time?" She paused her show, turned slowly, and with a flick of her wrist and the confidence of someone who hadn't worked a day in 3 years, she said, "First, match my standards." That line, it hit me harder than I expected. I stared at her. My wife, who wakes up at 11, scrolls Instagram until noon, complains about needing a facial by 2, and calls her brunches work events. I don't know what came over me, but the words just left my mouth before I could even think. First, find the job, and pay your own bills. That smirk vanished like it was never there. Her jaw tightened. Her fingers froze mid-air with the nail polish brush. I swear, even the TV muted itself in fear. She didn't respond. She just stood up, grabbed her phone, and locked herself in the bathroom for the next hour. I heard her crying, then laughing, then whispering. I assumed it was a girlfriend, maybe venting, but a gut feeling told me something was off. So, for the first time in our marriage, I did something I never thought I would. I checked the Bluetooth connections on our home speaker system, and one device caught my eye. A connected phone named Mr. Motivation. That wasn't me. At first, I thought maybe it was a fitness app or something harmless. But when I tapped it, I saw the recent media queue, and the titles were not podcasts. They were private audio files with timestamps, labeled by date. And one was from last Friday, the same night she said she was having a solo wine and vision board night. Against every fiber in my body, I pressed play. I only got 6 seconds in. A man's voice, low and smug, said, "You moan louder when you know your husband's home." I froze. I didn't hit stop. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the speaker like it had personally betrayed me. And that's when the bedroom door opened, and she walked out like nothing happened. She stepped out of the bedroom like she hadn't just locked herself away for over an hour. Her hair was tied up in a bun, eyes slightly red, but her voice was casual. Too casual. "You want anything from the store?" she asked, grabbing her car keys. I didn't answer. She turned her head like she noticed my silence for the first time. "Elwood." I nodded toward the speaker. It was still on, still connected to Mr. Motivation. She followed my gaze, her expression barely flickering. "What?" "You tell me," I muttered. My voice cracked. Not from anger, from that awful, chest-tightening mix of betrayal and disbelief. She stared for a second too long, then shrugged. "Look," she said. "It's not what you think." Classic line. Straight from the handbook of people who've done exactly what you think. "So what is it?" I asked. "Tell me what I think I heard." She crossed her arms. "You're being dramatic." That word. Dramatic. I wanted to scream. "I gave you everything." But I didn't. I just sat down on the armrest of the couch, like my legs suddenly forgot how to hold me. I looked around the room. Everything in that space. The lights, the rug, the stupid fake plant she swore gave cozy energy. I paid for. I provided the life she enjoyed. And now I was the fool for expecting respect. "You brought another man into my house," I said. Quiet. Pathetic, really. She didn't deny it. "I needed someone to see me," she replied. "You're always working. You're tired. You act like a roommate, not a husband." "So you cheated because I was paying the bills?" She rolled her eyes. "God, you make everything sound so black and white." That's when I realized she hadn't just crossed a line. She erased it and painted a new one behind my back. "I want a separation," I said. The words felt foreign, unreal. She laughed. Actually laughed. You wouldn't survive a week alone. I didn't argue. I didn't even blink. I just reached into my pocket and handed her a folded piece of paper. She opened it. Read it. Froze. It was a lease termination notice. I'd quietly ended our rental a month ago. I owned a small place across town under my brother's name. She didn't know that. You might want to start packing, I said. Her smirk didn't return this time. Not even close. She didn't say a word for about 30 seconds. Just stared at the lease termination notice like it had personally insulted her. I think she expected another round of arguing, some dramatic back and forth, maybe even begging. But I was done. I said what I needed to say. My stomach was already knotted tight, my throat dry, my brain moving in slow motion like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked with disbelief. You're seriously kicking me out? I looked at her. Really looked. Her messy bun. Her oversized hoodie I bought last Christmas. Her chipped nail polish from the night before. She didn't look like someone devastated by guilt. She looked inconvenienced. I'm asking you, I said, to take responsibility for the life you built behind my back. Dana scoffed, tossed the paper on the coffee table, and muttered, You've completely lost it. That's when she made the call. Right there in front of me, put her phone on speaker and called someone. A guy answered. Hey babe, the voice said. I stood up. Her eyes darted to me, but she didn't hang up. She just smiled, some sick, passive-aggressive victory smile. Can I stay at your place tonight? She asked him. He hesitated, then said, yeah, of course. My chest tightened. Not from heartbreak, from pure humiliation. She ended the call and looked me dead in the eye. You wanted me gone? I'm gone. I couldn't speak. Not because I had nothing to say, because I knew if I opened my mouth, all that grief, all that bottled-up misery would explode. I just stood there, fists clenched, heart hollow. She went to the bedroom, slammed drawers, yanked hangers, stuffed things into a gym bag like she was off to a weekend getaway. No panic. No remorse. Right before leaving, she turned around and said the line that burned itself into my memory. You'll be calling me in a week. Don't wait too long. And then she was gone. Door slammed. Silence. But even in that silence, I could still hear that man's voice from the speaker earlier. Still echoing. Still mocking. And I hadn't even gotten to the worst part yet. Because when I sat down at the kitchen table, hands shaking, I noticed something strange in our shared calendar. An entry marked only with a black heart emoji. It was set for tomorrow night. And it wasn't meant for me. The moment the front door shut behind her, I should have felt relief. Or freedom. Or something. But I just sat there. Alone in a kitchen that suddenly felt like someone else's house. It was too quiet. Not peaceful. Just empty. I stared at the calendar entry again. That black heart emoji sat there on the screen like it was mocking me. No title. No address. Just a time. 9:15 p.m. Tomorrow. And it had a location alert. But here's the thing, the address wasn't our house. I clicked it. My stomach twisted. It was a boutique hotel downtown. I don't know what pushed me to do it. Maybe I wanted to torture myself. Maybe I was hoping it was innocent. A spa day or a friend's birthday party. But deep down I already knew. So I did what no man should ever have to do. I booked a room in the same hotel. Under a fake name. Paid in cash. I told the clerk I needed a quiet night away from my noisy apartment complex. She smiled. Said weekends are busy, but Mondays are great for that. The next 24 hours were a blur. I didn't sleep. Didn't eat. Just sat at my brother's old condo, scrolling through messages I'd ignored for years, signs I'd missed, weird excuses, quiet nights, sudden wellness retreats. I'd built an entire relationship on the belief that loyalty was a given. And now I couldn't even trust the memories. By the time the next evening rolled around, I was wired, anxious, and trembling. I wore a hoodie, ball cap, cheap sunglasses, like an undercover cop who didn't belong. I arrived an hour early, sat in the hotel bar and ordered water. No alcohol, I needed my brain sharp. or as sharp as it could be. At exactly 9:11, the elevator dinged. She walked in. Dana. She looked radiant. Not like someone heartbroken after a breakup. She looked excited. She was wearing a dark red dress I'd never seen before, holding her phone in one hand and a small designer bag in the other. One I couldn't afford and don't remember buying. She didn't see me, but I saw who she was waiting for. A man walked through the revolving door, tall, tan, perfect jawline, perfect timing. He kissed her on the cheek. And that's when I knew this wasn't new. This had been happening for a while. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I took out my phone, opened the camera, and hit record. The second I hit record on my phone, I knew I'd never unsee what was about to happen. I told myself I wouldn't follow them, that I'd leave the hotel, keep my dignity, file for divorce, and be done with it. But then the elevator doors closed with the two of them inside, and I stood up. My legs were moving before my brain agreed. I waited 30 seconds, then took the next elevator. Floor 8. When I got up there, I didn't even know what I was looking for. I wasn't gonna knock on doors like a madman. But when I turned the corner, I saw something that stopped me cold. Dana was standing in the hallway, outside a room, giggling like a teenager. The guy was leaning against the door, holding a keycard, saying something low in her ear. I couldn't hear the words, but her laughter said enough. He opened the door and they disappeared inside. I should have left. I should have just walked away. But I didn't. I waited. I leaned against the wall, heart hammering, palms sweaty, as the silence stretched on. Then I heard something. Not voices, not sounds of betrayal, but music and laughter from another room. I followed the noise, confused. Just a few doors down, another room door was slightly ajar. I inched closer and peeked inside. There were people, at least 8 of them, some dressed casually, some in robes. One woman I recognized instantly, a mutual friend of Dana's named Marla. I thought she moved to Chicago months ago. My stomach flipped. I stepped back out of view. What the hell was this? I pulled out my phone, checked Dana's calendar again. That black heart wasn't for a one-on-one affair. It was a group event. Some kind of secret gathering. Organized. Scheduled. Recurring. I took photos. Not of faces, just proof. Date, time, room number. And then I left. I didn't need to see any more. My wife wasn't just cheating. She was living a second life I didn't even recognize with people I thought were friends. As I walked to my car, shaking, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not sadness, not anger, but disgust. With her, with myself, with the entire fake life we'd built. And that's when I knew I wasn't just going to leave quietly. I was going to show her exactly how much I knew. I didn't sleep that night, not because I couldn't, but because I refused to. My eyes burned from staring at my phone screen, scrubbing through the video I'd captured over and over again. Dana's smile, her touch on his shoulder, the way she leaned in like she'd done it 100 times before, like I never existed. But it wasn't just about the video anymore. Something deeper snapped in me. I had been the safe option, the provider, the quiet fool she could walk all over. I had buried every gut instinct for years just to keep the illusion of a peaceful home. But now the illusion was gone, and all I had left was cold facts. That Black Heart event? It wasn't random. I started digging. You see, Dana used to sync her calendar to our shared cloud. She never disconnected it. Probably didn't even remember. So I checked past events, names she'd blocked off with vague emojis, moons, stars, champagne glasses. And they were regular. Twice a month, always at different hotels, always after she claimed she was meeting with her manifestation group. Yeah, that's what she called it. A manifestation group. But now I had dates, locations, patterns. I checked her social media next, or rather, her Finsta. I'd always suspected she had one. And wouldn't you know it, one of her old high school friends had tagged her in a blurry mirror selfie a few months ago. Dana was in the background. Same hotel chain, same red dress. The friend's profile was public. I went through the comments. One name popped up twice under heart emojis. Caleb. I didn't know a Caleb, But Dana sure did. That morning, while she was still with him or passed out in one of those hotel beds, I sent a single message to her real Instagram. I know everything, including the guest list. Get home before I decide to share it. I waited. 3 hours later, she messaged back. No denial. No anger. Just one line. We need to talk. We met at a cafe the next morning. Not some quiet little corner spot, no. She picked a trendy, busy place downtown with glass walls and influencers sipping green foam in every direction. Probably thought I wouldn't cause a scene there, as if I ever had. Dana walked in like she owned the place, sunglasses on, lips painted red, wearing the same coat I bought her for our last anniversary. The irony made my stomach turn. She slid into the seat across from me and placed her phone face down. Classic move. I didn't speak first. I wanted to see what she'd say, how she'd spin it, what kind of twisted magic trick she thought she still had up her sleeve. Elwood, she started. This isn't what you think it is. I let out the smallest laugh. Just one breath of disbelief. You keep saying that, and every time you do, it is exactly what I think it is. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Okay, yes, I've made some mistakes, but it's complicated. It's organized, I corrected. Scheduled, grouped, repeated. That's not a mistake. That's a system. Her face twitched. She opened her mouth again, but I slid my phone across the table and hit play. The audio from the hotel. That voice, Caleb, saying things no husband should ever have to hear spoken under his own roof. Dana paled. Finally, she was quiet. I'm not here for an apology, I said. I'm here because I wanted to see if you'd still lie to my face. She blinked fast. Adjusting her posture like that would somehow reset the moment. What do you want, Elwood? I pulled out an envelope. Inside was a copy of the separation paperwork. Already signed by me. Already reviewed by a lawyer. She didn't even know I'd hired one. I didn't hand it to her. I laid it gently on the table. Then I stood up. But just as I turned to leave, she said something that made me stop in my tracks. I'm pregnant. 3 seconds of silence. I turned around slowly, heart pounding. She looked up at me, eyes glassy, but I couldn't tell if it was guilt or strategy. My mouth went dry. My legs went numb. She said it so casually, like it was just another twist in her carefully rehearsed play. I'm pregnant. I wanted to believe her. Or maybe a piece of me feared it enough to hope it wasn't true. But I didn't flinch. Not this time. Then let's do a test, I said. A real one. And if it's mine, I'll take responsibility. But if it's not, she cut me off, her voice sharper than before. You don't trust me? I leaned down, whispered so only she could hear. I trusted you through every self-discovery retreat, every girls' night, every time you called me small. So no, Dana, I don't. She sat frozen. That was her last card, and I had flipped it over without blinking. 3 days later, we did the test. I showed up with my lawyer. She showed up with silence. The child wasn't mine. Her face didn't even crack when the result came. She just nodded and muttered something about needing time, but I didn't wait for a speech. I walked out of the building, looked up at the sky, and for the first time in years, I breathed. Clean, guilt-free air. 2 weeks later, I moved into the small condo my brother helped me renovate. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. No hidden calendars. No emotional landmines. No speaker systems whispering betrayal in the dark. I started sleeping again. Started laughing again. Took time, and I won't lie, healing didn't come easy. But with every day that passed, I stopped being the man Dana left behind and started becoming the man I should have been all along. Quiet, strong, free. Thank you for watching this full story on the Reddit Confessions channel. Now it's your turn. What's one moment in history where the truth changed everything? Was it a personal story? A global one? Drop it in the comments. We love hearing your thoughts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more confessions.